Welcome to Financial Freedom 101. Once again, I'm Robert, and you're listening to episode 14. For many people starting out on their road to financial freedom, they contemplate opening up a company, and while that process of opening a company is pretty straightforward, regardless of what country you live in, the one part of the process that gets many people is coming up with a name for their company. For some reason, this is the most difficult part of the process because there are just so many things to consider. If you are in this position, then you're in luck, as this podcast is all about choosing the right name for your business. If you're contemplating becoming your own boss and breaking free of the rat race, opening up a company can offer you a number of advantages. Not only does it offer you some legal protections and tax advantages that you just cannot get as a sole proprietor, it also helps to legitimize the work that you are doing as it offers protection for your customers as well. However, choosing a name for your company is a critical step of the process and one that can have an impact on your business itself. Research has been done and over 71% of the people polled stated that they are more likely to purchase from a business based on the name of that business. Additionally, according to Forbes, consumers are 4 to 6 times more likely to patronize a business that they think are purpose-driven businesses. We have all driven by those shops with the strange, off-putting, or gimmicky-sounding names and thought to ourselves, why would I want to shop there? Companies like STD Contractors, Poopsie's Pizza, and Tequila Mockingbird can make people think twice about using them. Yes, these are real company names, and you can find them all online. While there may be nothing wrong with the business itself, in fact, from what I have read, Poopsie Pizza is supposed to have some pretty good pizza and has good reviews by its loyal customers. The name may, however, cause individuals to think twice about patronizing them, especially if you are just starting out and have not had a chance to create a reputation or a following. Now, don't get me wrong, there are companies out there with far more worse names. Some of them are even offensive sounding. And although some may have been done for shock effect, many of these names were just unfortunate happenstance. For instance, STD Contractors was named using the first letter of each of the owners' names, while Poopsie Pizza was supposedly named after the founder's wife's nickname. So we know that we do not want to name our business something offensive or off-putting. But why is the name of your company so important? I have actually lost count of the number of times I have had individuals in our property investment meetup group ask me what they should name their company. Should they name it after themselves? Should they name it something meaningful to them, like maybe after a relative or an event that happened? Or should it have some sort of meaning behind it? My answer to them has been, it's up to you, but yes to all of it. I know that this wasn't the answer that they were looking for, but the answer is true. It's yes to all of them. Naming your company is a personal decision, but there are a few important points that you need to think about when you name it. When deciding on a company's name, there are 3 things that you need to keep in mind. 1, your company name is the first thing that people see. 2, for most, it tells them exactly what your business is and what it stands for. And 3, it's there to separate you from your competitors. While item 1 is pretty self-explanatory, item 2 and 3 may need a bit more explaining. We have all heard that we need to make a good first impression, and that is exactly what the company name does for you. Are you looking at creating a small local store where people in the community already knows you? If so, naming your company after yourself can say a lot about your company and what it stands for. Think law firms, for instance. It should be strong yet simple, as long company names can be confusing and off-putting. It should be easy to pronounce and remember. Most importantly, this is a name that people will identify you by. There are very few niche markets left, and so it is very likely that you will have a number of competitors in whatever industry that you are operating in. Your name is going to make you stand out amongst your competitors. Choosing a name that is similar to another company, especially in the same industry, can come across as unoriginal and even cause confusion amongst your potential customers, thus putting them off of wanting to patronize your business as they may see it as some sort of knockoff brand. Ultimately, your company name will become your brand. It will be what individuals identify your products with. When we hear the names Rolls-Royce, Rolex, and Louis Vuitton, we think luxury, high class, wealthy. When we hear Timex, Under Armour, and Nike, we think quality sports products. And when we hear Facebook, Apple, Google, and Microsoft, we think leading IT companies. The reason we think of these things when we hear a company's name is because of the branding that has gone into those names. They have become known for quality products through a lot of hard work and commitment. In fact, some of these even become status symbols. There is a reason people will stand in line for hours to buy the latest iPhone despite owning the last model that came out just 6 months before. Knowing that choosing the right name is critical for starting a company, how should you decide what to name it? This is a tricky part and comes down to the individual, but there are a few steps that you can take to help come up with the right name. As a note, if you are struggling with this, there are companies out there that will help you come up with a name for your company, but this service does come with a cost. When deciding on a company name, the best starting point is to decide what you want your company to be about. What values do you want for your company to portray, and what products are you offering? Once this is done, you can then do a word dump to describe your business and industry while keeping these things in mind. Using these words that you come up with, you can rely on personal experience, a thesaurus, or even wordplay to develop creative and catchy sounding names. The goal here is to capture 3, maybe 4 names that you think will convey what your business stands for while being simple to understand, easy to remember, and not too trendy, as trends tend to be short-lived and quickly forgotten. Finally, it's time to select the name and ensure that the name is available for use. As we mentioned previously, the last thing you want to do is choose a name similar or the same as a competitor. Not only could this hurt your business, but if the name is already taken, you will not be able to officially register it. However, this is why you want to have a couple of names handy. In addition to the registration issue, you'll also want to make sure that the domain is available. Whether you plan on creating a website or not, registering and owning the domain for your business is a strategic consideration. While you may not want a website now, this could change in a few months or years down the road. On top of this, to be more professional, owning your own domain allows you to have a customizable email address and brings even more credibility to your business. If I were to email a potential client from wolfpackconsulting@gmail.com as opposed to robert@wpconsultingsg.com, which one of these do you think the client would treat as spam, and which one do you think they may actually review and consider hiring? Having your own personal business email address says a lot about the professionalism of your business and can mean the difference between making a sale and not. It's also not that expensive, as you can go on GoDaddy or even Google Workspace and register a domain for about $12 a year. A small price to pay to advance your company to the next level. We have had a few guests on our shows that have discussed their businesses and have talked about why they chose the name they did for their company. First, we had Simon Kerr from Auxilium Property Management. For those of you who do not remember, Simon is a social housing sourcing agent in the UK, and the name of his business fits his company perfectly. Auxilium is Latin for to aid, or help, or assist. And that is exactly what social housing is all about. To aid those who are at risk of being homeless, to help those that are trying to get back on their feet, and to assist those that may need a helping hand in finding a place to live. We also had Robin Martin on talking about his company, The Mortgage Tailor. Again, his company name tells you exactly what his company is all about. They help to tailor a mortgage package specifically for you. These are great examples of company names with meanings behind them. We at Wolfpack have a very similar story in the development of our name. In fact, our name has a few meanings behind it. I have talked a lot about how I have relied extensively on my military background for everything that I do, from my work ethic to the attention to detail I do when I conduct due diligence, to even how I read contracts and policies. And the way we named our company is no different. When we first started our property investment journey, we opened our company and simply named it Fannin Properties, as that was our goal to buy properties. So why did we need a catchy name? However, by the time we were in a position to actually purchase our own property 2.5 years later, we wanted our company's name to mean something. Our company's mission statement was to create high-quality, clean, and affordable accommodations for our tenants and wealth-generating assets for us and our investors. From the very start, we knew our company wasn't about us, but was about our tenants, our investors, and our power team. We wanted a name that inspired, that empowered, and that embodied the idea of teamwork. We brainstormed and came up with at least 20 or 30 names, but nothing seemed to fit. I then started thinking about my military experience, and we came up with the name Spartan, Phalanx, the impenetrable wall of soldiers that Spartans used in battles, and a few others, but still, nothing seemed to fit. Finally, we landed on Wolfpack. The Wolfpack was my first unit as an infantry officer. In fact, it was a unit that caused me to want to get a commission and go infantry. It was also the unit that had the most effect on my military career and eventually caused me to meet my wife. However, it was more than that. It was what the Wolfpack stood for. The Wolfpack was light armored reconnaissance, and we operated out front of everybody else, alone and unafraid. We were the tip of the spear. The Wolfpack projected power. It projected being the best and the ones that others counted on. But most importantly, it was a Wolfpack's motto that sealed the deal for us. The strength of the wolf is the pack, and the strength of the pack is the wolf. The motto was exactly what we wanted for our company. We knew we could not do it on our own, and without our team, our listeners, our students, our tenants, and our network, we would not make it. Likewise, without us, there was no pack. As an infantry officer, I had to count on my Marines to protect my back, my flanks, and execute the plan I put into place to the best of their ability. And that's exactly what we have to do in our business. We rely heavily on our team, and our team relies on us, whether it's for advice, for project review, or just a helping hand. We have been asked if we think our company name may come off sounding a bit aggressive, and to some, it might. However, for us, the name conveys exactly what we want it to convey: teamwork, leadership, and strength. The personal meaning behind the name simply makes the name that much more powerful. Creating a business is an important step and not one that should be taken lightly. Likewise, choosing a company's name is a critical part of that step that should be given a lot of thought and consideration too. While the name of the company may be changed, it is what is going to define the product or service that you sell. It will become your brand. There's a lot of good advice out there on the internet on how to develop your company's name, but ultimately it will come down to a personal decision. The name you choose can have a personal meaning to you. It can be a play on words, or as simple as stating the product you sell. Think Toys R Us. Whatever you decide to name your company, the key thing to remember is that the name is a start of the first impression you will make on your future or potential customers. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have any questions or need help with coming up with a business name, check out our website and drop us a line. Thank you for taking the time to listen, and as always, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. Until next time, thank you and have a great week ahead.